It's very much with the bragging rights right now. 30 points to 8 at half-time.
Well, France are the kings of the comeback, aren't they? But not from this position, surely.
No. I mean, it is. I was making some notes earlier. It really is men against boys out here this afternoon. I mean, England are just so much the better side. And you just look at the way, Paul Grayson talked about their decision making. Their key players, the Vunipola brothers, making charges, up through, carrying balls. You've got Henry Slade and Owen Farrell pulling the strings. Elliot Daly's making darts from fullback. France are playing most of the rugby in their own half. Yes, they've scored one try, which was very well crafted. But, this France side, I can't, they imploded against Wales. I can't see them coming back into this game. I really can't. England are just so dominant in all areas of the game. And in Johnny May, they have an out-and-out world-class finisher. If he was an All Black, he would be hailed as one of, the current greats in the game right now. And he should be anyway, even though he's got a white jersey on. That's 11 tries since, last year. 12 tries he scored now for England since the start of 2018.
Fantastic.
Johnny May is truly, really world class. And England very, very much deserving of a 30 points to 8 lead.
Yeah.
Eddie Jones said in his 5 Live interview earlier that England would be better than they were in Dublin this week in this game. And so far he's being proved right.
They are, absolutely. Incredible. Three halves of rugby, and they are dominant, England, right now. They got the win against Ireland, and now they are 30 points away to head against France. And as Sonia said, the bonus point in the bag before half-time. Great stuff. Commentary continuing on 5 Live Sports Extra. Just before we get stuck into Manchester City-Chelsea here at the Etihad, just want to bring you a bit of reaction from Carrow Road and this extraordinary East Anglian derby, which ended Norwich 3, Ipswich 0. Norwich back clear at the top of the Championship, 2 points ahead of Leeds. It all kicked off late in the first half. A late challenge from John Nolan on Max Aarons. Virtually every player got involved. The backroom staff got involved as well, with each other, it has to be said. Paul Lambert, the Ipswich boss, confronting Norwich coach Chris Domagala. Both were sent from the touchline. Lambert up into the stands. At one point he had to be restrained by a police officer. Well, let's hear from the Norwich boss, Daniel Farke.
Today we faced a side who is in position 24 in the league, but Ipswich didn't look like a side who is not able to win points in this league. So you always have to be there with a 100% performance in each and every game, otherwise you won't win any points in this league.
During the incident with Paul Lambert, the camera picked you up winking. Anything on that?
Oh, I can't remember, to be honest. So it was more like, because it was obviously that they tried to get under our skin. We were in lead, and it's quite normal that you try to anyhow to force a reaction or something like this. It was too obviously for me to get annoyed about it or be anyhow involved. So for that I was pretty cool in this situation, and sometimes you have to speak to the camera as well.
Right, okay. Well, that is Daniel Farke. His Norwich team continue to go really well. 60 points after 31 games, 2 clear of Leeds. 6:06 tonight with Chris Sutton, former Norwich man of Norwich, of course, alongside Alistair Bruce-Ball, a man of Ipswich. That could be interesting. 08085999693. If you were there at Carrow Road, I'm sure you'll want to give the guys a call later on tonight and put your perspective of what you saw. Dion Dublin, John Murray here at the Etihad. We're going to hear from Pep Guardiola in a few of us. Sorry, Dion, what was that?
Go on the Canaries.
Oh, man of Norwich as well. Do you get involved in any 22-man scraps in your time, Dion?
No, I never lost my head in a derby.
No.
Please don't look it up.
You just sat back, didn't you, and let the other 21 get on with it.
When you're winning, it's nice and easy, let me tell you.
Tell you what, they're doing really well, though, aren't they?
They're doing great. They're doing great. I speak to Darren Huckabee. He's a good friend of mine, and he did say to me that they're looking good, they're looking strong, they seem to be playing the game in the right way, and he's happy with the result. He was there, so yes, he's the man that knows all about Norwich City, the legend himself, Mr. Huckabee.
OK, Pep Guardiola leads his Manchester City side out. Busy fixture list, of course, for City. 3 games in the last week. They've got the Cup tie at Newport on the way. Schalke in the Champions League. The League Cup final to look ahead to, when, of course, they will play today's opponents, Chelsea. But today is all about trying to return to the top of the Premier League. And Pep Guardiola credits his side for simply still being in contention.
I know the last 5-6 years, the last champions, what happened the year after, in which position they were. All of them, they were out. They don't have chance to win the Premier League. We are there. That is what I delight the most in this season. And when the people say, oh, yeah, you underestimated Newcastle, underestimated, well, no, you don't underestimate anyone if you are in the final of the Carabao again and you are in all the competitions. So we are there. But of course, we want to be there until the end.
Well, it's bizarre, isn't it, Dion, that their next 4 matches come in 4 separate competitions, but they're still chasing on all fronts. But today it's all about the league. But for you, do they remain the favourites, the best team in the league?
You know, I've been
You're
asked
hesitating.
This question. I am, yes, because I've been asked this question over the last 2 or 3 weeks when Liverpool had that little bit of a gap. I did say Liverpool in the ascendancy, and I did fancy Liverpool to win the league. With my Man United hat on, that really hurts. But if I'm going to be honest, I still feel that Liverpool have it. I still feel it's their time. Squad-wise, I still think City are the best. But I just think on this occasion, Jurgen Klopp will get them over the line.
Wow. I mean, John Murray, it's worth pointing out, isn't it, that on the day that City played Chelsea at Wembley in the League Cup final, where are they going, Liverpool? They're at United, aren't they? That could be a huge day.
Yeah, that's the next time Liverpool play in the Premier League.
Wow.
So it is on the day that we'll be at Wembley watching these two again. And the way that things have shaped up, I mean, I would say let's just hang on a little bit until we get a bit closer and see where the teams are. And the reason I'm saying that is because we're looking ahead to the Champions League matches over the course of the next few weeks or so. And suddenly those matches have changed how we think about those games since the draw was made back in December. But at the moment, that is set up brilliantly, isn't it? And you know what sort of shape Manchester United will be in by the time Liverpool go there. You know, we'll find out when we get to Sunday, the 24th of February.
It's hard. It's such a hard one to call because watch Liverpool so many times, watch City so many times, and the quality that they both have is just. I find it hard to find a real significant weakness in either side or either squad. And I'm looking at City today, and I'm looking at their bench, and they've got Jesus, they've got Sane, they've got Mahrez, they've got David Silva on the bench. That's just incredible.
But for Liverpool, what jumped out for me when I was looking at it this week is the fact that they were knocked out at the first hurdle in both domestic cup competitions. And they've got the Champions League, obviously. But this week, I know Gary Flintoff, who's here with us, was talking to Jurgen Klopp yesterday. They're off to the sunshine, you know, so they've got another break this week. So I think you have to think about the commitments that the two teams have got as well, and what effect that will have, because, you know, City are going for it. There's no question.
No,
they are going for it on every front.
I agree. I'm just disappointed that, Gaz, you didn't get an invite to the Sun. That's terrible, by the way. I can't believe he didn't invite you.
Yes, FA Cup next weekend, and the League Cup final, as John says, in a fortnight's time from Wembley. All that action live on 5 Live Sport, including the return of the Champions League this Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have it all covered for you. So let's break this down tactically today, because Chelsea, one of the sides who've got the better of City this season. That was at Stamford Bridge. That was in early December, and it was when they didn't have much of the ball, Dion. So what can they learn from that they can bring here today? The role of Kante, perhaps. Do you envisage anything slightly different about Chelsea under Sarri that they can bring to the party today to potentially get a result?
Well, the game will be won or lost, in my opinion, will be lost in midfield. So I think both teams have to have enough players in there to make sure that you're not overrun. I think Pep will make sure that he's not overrun. I think Sarri plays a certain way. He does like the one just to sit. He likes the two in front of the one, and then he likes the three to go and do what they've got to do. I think they're going to have to be a little bit more conservative today.
In the match in December at Stamford Bridge, I thought Chelsea would go very similarly to that team. I wasn't expecting necessarily Barkley to be in the starting lineup, but he is. Kovacic is on the substitutes bench. And if you remember on that day, that was one of those days when Sarri played the three little men up front, Willian and Pedro and Hazard. Obviously now he's got Gonzalo Higuain to play here. So, you know, he's a man for a big occasion. From a Manchester City point of view, that was during a spell when Aguero was out. So he didn't play in that game. And now, of course, he's in prime form, scored a hat-trick here last Sunday afternoon He's scored 6 goals in his last 5 appearances.
But Dion, you're making the point. He likes to play the 1, Jorginho, and then the 2 ahead. I've read some tactical analysis ahead of this one that suggests if ever there's a day to pull one of those 2 back, and that man obviously being Kante, maybe today is the day. But Surrey doesn't seem to want to budge, does he, in terms of his style?
Not at all. He seems to do things his way. He feels his players are good enough to deal with what's ever put in front of him. I think this is the biggest test for them this season so far. Can they get away with just the 1 holder? I don't know. I think the problem that they've got today is Stones and Laporte trying to deal with Higuain up front. His movement, he's aggressive, he'll challenge for everything in the air, and he's reliable. What I mean by that, he'll hold the ball up and there'll be lots of runners off him. So they've got their work cut out today. It won't be just one defender dealing with him, it was both.
It'll be fun seeing Higuain today, won't it? Because it's one thing doing it at home to Huddersfield. What can he bring here to the Etihad away at the champions? Because if he can be in amongst the goals today, Dion, then maybe a surprise is in store.
Yeah, maybe. I think John's right. John mentioned that, he's the player for the big occasions. He's played in a lot of big occasions. He knows what it's all about. He knows why he's been brought to Chelsea. It's to score goals. That is it. Basically, to be the leading goal scorer for me. So he's got himself a couple of goals, got a worldie from outside the box. Bit of movement for the first one was great as well. So Sarri will be expecting that. Again, it doesn't matter who he plays against, he's going to expect him to do a job for him.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how it works between Hazard and Higuain against opponents like this. We've seen glimmers so far, haven't we? They seem to be warming to it very much.
Yeah, and I think with a player like that, with the Hazard, with the ball at his feet, I believe that he'll find Higuain, and vice versa as well.
Just to let you know that the West Indies' first innings is underway out in St Lucia after that late flurry of England wickets. 2-7-7 all out. West Indies are 2 without loss. Braithwaite and Campbell opening the innings. Here at the Etihad on the east side of Manchester, the 2 sides are led out. Azpilicueta leads out Chelsea. Fernandinho leads out Manchester City. There's Mike Dean, the man in the middle today. 1 red card away from the century. I've quite enjoyed the memes and the highlights reels of his refereeing career that have been doing the rounds on social media this week. Whether that red card comes out today, we shall wait and see. Manchester City second in the Premier League as things stand, trying to move back level on points with Liverpool, but ahead on goal difference once more. For Chelsea, who of course yesterday were overtaken by Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's resurgent, upwardly mobile Manchester United, a point will take Chelsea back into 4th on goal difference. Pep Guardiola emerges, disappointingly not in his multicoloured striping jumper, which maybe only gets the 1 run out of the season. Dion, I'd like to see you in that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that on a fire.
It's got that it's got that retro quality that reminded you of the Ceefax test card.
Yeah, you say that, but they'll all be wearing them. Give that a whirl.
But it's big, isn't it? It feels big, and these 2 teams are meeting twice inside the next fortnight, and both matches will be live here on 5 Live Sport. In 2 Sundays' time, it's the League Cup final at Wembley, but right now, on 5 Live, it's the Premier League. It's Manchester City versus Chelsea, with England-France continuing in the Rugby Live on Sports Extra. And here's your commentary team. Former Premier League striker Dion Dublin and your correspondent, John Murray.
And you're right, Jonathan. Cup commitments very much dominate the fortnight ahead for these 2 clubs, Manchester City and Chelsea, the current Premier League champions against the champions of 2017. But Pep Guardiola did describe this as a real cup final. It's a great scene. It was a grand scene, wasn't it, as the players walked out. I saw you, Dion. You've got a picture of that. I'm sure you're putting it on your social media. I'm sure it'll be at 5 Live Sport as well. But it's a brilliant, futuristic stadium, isn't it, the Etihad? When you catch sight of it either from the roads or the streets or the railway lines with those great metal struts. And then inside, as they walked out, that huge canvas of the Manchester City badge, which was held over the centre circle and beyond, all of the sky blue and white flags that were waving around the ground over the 3 tiers of this stadium. And as I bend down now and look under the top of the roof above us, you can see on the big screen, the sky blue moon is up there as well. And the team's just about ready for kick-off. These are the sides that have been picked today. Ederson in goal for the champions. Walker, Stones, Laporte and Zinchenko. Only his 4th appearance in the Premier League this season. Midfield, Fernandinho with De Bruyne and Gundogan. And then Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling and Sergio Aguero. And the Chelsea team, Kepa is in goal away to our right in front of all of the Chelsea fans who are in the 3 tiers there. Azpilicueta, Rudiger, Luiz and Alonso, the back 4. Jorginho with Kante and Barkley in midfield. And then Pedro on the right, Hazard on the left. And Gonzalo Higuain up front. Mike Dean, as Jonathan Overend mentioned, as the referee. He blows his whistle. And Manchester City in the sky blue shirts, white shorts, dark blue socks, get us underway, play the ball back towards the edge of their penalty area. John Stones exchanging passes with his England colleague Kyle Walker, and Stones playing the ball right across the penalty area to Laporte, who's back in central defence, and a long ball from him drifts out of play near the halfway line. So it is set up brilliantly, Dion Dublin.
Yeah, it is as well. Even that first just a few seconds there, Barkley absolutely sprinting towards Stones to squeeze him down. Looks like they're going to go for the high press. Chelsea.
Liverpool 65 points, Manchester City 62, Tottenham now 60, and then Manchester United 51 and Chelsea back on 50. Those are the top 5. And Chelsea with David Luiz, who scored the clinching goal when Chelsea won in what I feel was one of the most interesting, exciting matches I've seen in the Premier League this season at Stamford Bridge in December, when Manchester City lost for the first time in the league as the champions this season in what was their 16th match. Chelsea with Barkley, who just stretches a leg and is able to hook the ball to Alonso here on the left-hand side. Certainly not a gung-ho start to the match. But Hazard now, he's off and running. He's away from Walker down the left-hand side. Hazard finds Higuain, edge of the box. Higuain tries to find a way through, and the ball deflects first off Stones and then off Walker and is cleared out towards the full-back position, but not out of play. Hazard got a little shove there from Bernardo Silva, but stayed on his feet. Chelsea's top scorer with 15 goals. Plays it back towards Jorginho, now to Higuain, edge of the box, right foot, and an important block from John Stones, who went with Higuain, who's already had 2 blocked efforts in the first 2 minutes of the match, Gonzalo Higuain. But Manchester City look to bring it away, but it bounces off Gundogan, and Chelsea have possession back inside their own half. Promising stuff for Chelsea.
Yeah, promising so far. Hazard finding himself out on the left wing. He was one-on-one with Laporte, needed the help of Kyle Walker for his pace.
There's one of those passes from David Luiz, pinging it out towards Pedro on the right. Now the ball's lifted over the top. Flag stayed down as Higuain stretched for it in the area but couldn't reach it, and it bounced through to Ederson.
He was only inches away from that as well, to be fair. David Luiz just turned it around the corner to Higuain. It actually bounced about 8 yards away from the goal, and the keeper just stood there. It bounced and he took it in his hands. That was more dangerous than it looked.
It is 0-0. Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. Dion Dublin is with us, Premier League Golden Boot winner in his time. If you want to listen to what's happening at Twickenham, that is on 5 Live Sports Extra via digital radio, via the BBC Sounds app. And England are in charge. Sonia McLaughlin, who's there?
Save. Small setback for England. They've lost the man who was at the heart of that heroic defensive performance in Dublin against Ireland. Mako Vunipola has limped off, cutting a slightly sorry figure. So it's the Exeter prop, Ben Moon, who has come on to replace him. It's England 30, France 8.
Thanks, Sonia. 5 Live Sports Extra for the commentary. And also Jonathan Agnew and Sir Alistair Cook, who are in St Lucia, will keep us up to date on the test match. Oh, De Bruyne picks out Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva's ball across, takes a deflection, and it's in! Sterling arrives, right-footed, to plant it into the back of the Chelsea net. 1-0 to the champions, and we're in only the 4th minute. He arrived joyfully on the far side of the penalty area, Sterling, because he knew he was going to find the net. He did. It's Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0.
That's the beauty of having someone like De Bruyne on the ball, waiting for things to happen around him. Chelsea were not organised one bit. De Bruyne's ball between Hazard and Barkley, they both switched off. the ball was put between them down the right-hand side into an area where Bernardo Silva just fed it across the box. He went all the way through to Sterling. He got his head down, he put his laces through it, and he stuck it in the back of the net. You have to switch on when De Bruyne's over the ball and there's no pressure on him.
And that takes me right back to St James's Park the week before last. Remember when De Bruyne took the quick free kick?
Yes.
He hadn't got permission. Today, Mike Dean had clearly given him permission to take the quick free kick, and Manchester City were just quicker of thought than Chelsea.
Yeah, and even though it was a dead ball, when there's no pressure on the ball, you have to stay with your runners. You have to know where players are, because he's got a free hit, so to speak, and he will pick a pass. He will find a teammate. He's done it again.
If you remember back to the game in December at Stamford Bridge, it was there that Raheem Sterling received that horrible abuse from the spectators in the stand. And here now against Chelsea, Raheem Sterling scoring the opening goal in the 4th minute.
Yeah, he's done well. He always seems to do that, Sterling. You know, either side, if he's on the right or the left, he always seems to go into that position we call the POMO, the position of most opportunity, and he always sort of closes that door to make sure it's not a wasted pass.
That's his first goal in 4 appearances. It's his 13th of the season. It's his 11th in the Premier League this season. Raheem Sterling, he's right up there with the leading group of scorers in the Premier League. And Manchester City already in front here, and already as the ball is played back towards Kepa, who advances halfway inside his own half to hit it downfield. The West Indies, by the way, are 2 without loss at lunch in St Lucia after England were all out for 277. We'll keep you fully updated on the score from St Lucia and also from Twickenham. That's on 5 Live Sports Extra. Premier League on 5 Live with Zinchenko bringing it forward, gives it to Aguero on the left-hand side. There are lots of options in the middle, but Aguero was dispossessed by Rudiger, and now Kante up towards Higuain. Higuain turns it, but Higuain had been in an offside position. It's the right idea, turning it out towards the far side to Pedro, but Higuain had come from an offside position.
Yeah, it's really poor defending from the 2 centre-halves of City, Laporte and Stones. Higuain's standing on the centre spot. Yes, he's in an offside position, but you have to have one defender in front, one defender behind, just so he can't get control of the ball. They were standing either side of him. You can cause yourself problems if you switch off.
And switch off they certainly did for the free kick that Manchester City took the lead from. Bernardo Silva had the freedom of the right side of the penalty area, and when that's the case, that's trouble.
With all the players to switch off and he's on the ball, Mr. De Bruyne, he'll pick a pass. I think Chelsea, because it was Hazard and it was Barkley, they're not naturally defensive thinking players. They did have that little bit of a lapse in concentration, and the ball was perfect.
Took a little deflection on its way across towards Raheem Sterling, who was arriving at pace. He had a little bit to do, actually. He had the goalkeeper to beat. There were 2 defenders as well, as he plays it now to De Bruyne, left side of the penalty area. He pulls it back. Bernardo Silva on his left foot, still going, weaving out towards the left-hand side, then drives it across. Oh! Aguero somehow misses at the back post, inside the 6-yard box. I think anyone here, including Sergio Aguero, can believe that ball did not end up in the back of the Chelsea net for 2-0.
Now, that can't be Aguero. It's got to be somebody else playing for City, but it can't be Aguero.
Who is that blonde-haired man?
I've no idea. He's an imposter.
He is an imposter. Unmask him.
He's 3 yards out on the angle. It's nothing at all for Aguero. If there's any player in the world you want to be there at that situation, it's Aguero. I think he switched off in regards to concentration. He thought he'd scored before he scored, but I can't believe that.
Had some misses this weekend, haven't we? But that is right up there. And he's got his black gloves on, and he covered his face with his black gloves in the form that he's in. For Aguero not to score there is almost inconceivable.
I've got no words. Unbelievable.
20 goals this season, banging form, scored in his last 6 starts here in the Premier League, which takes you all the way back to September, actually, strangely. It's only 7 starts in the Premier League for Aguero here since September. And also, producer Gary Flintoff has just pointed out that Pep Guardiola collapsed to the floor with his head in his hands. Did you see that?
I didn't see
No.
it. It doesn't surprise me.
Fernandinho's caught in possession. He's fouled by Kante. It's a free kick to Manchester City. They take a quick free kick. Here's Sergio Aguero. The worry now for Chelsea is that Aguero will feel that he's got to make up for that howling miss. Sterling back towards Aguero, but Sterling's overheaded through for Kepa to pick up. The other point I wanted to make, Dion, there as well, is the role that Bernardo Silva had in setting up that chance for Aguero was magical.
Yeah, it was because he had a lot to do. He kept hold of the ball. I was expecting him to strike it with his left foot, but he didn't. He took it round the houses, so to speak, back into the 6-yard box, crossed it across the box. Aguero's in a similar position to Sterling, but I can't explain how he missed the target. I'm sorry, everybody. Sergio Aguero should never miss those chances. It should be two. It should be two.
But Bernardo Silva's touch and control in the opposition penalty area there.
Yeah, it's not panicking. It's knowing full well that there'll be another chance coming. If I can keep my composure and my players around me will make new positions for me to find them.
At Twickenham, it is England 30, France 8. Listen to the commentary, 5 Live Sports Extra. Chris Jones with Matt Dawson and Paul Grayson, the usual team. And the World Service are with us as well. Dion, we've got all of the millions of listeners to the BBC's World Service joining us to the commentary here on 5 Live, where Manchester City lead Chelsea by 1-0, and it should be 2.
Yeah, it should be 2. You know, Ederson there having the ball, like Ederson picking a pass. His distribution, Ederson's distribution is outstanding, it is. I was watching him before the game, and he's pinging it out of his hands, he's throwing it, he's off the floor, and he's got somebody keeping him warm. Very, very good to watch.
Higuain, before the World Service joined us, had a couple of opportunities around the edge of the penalty area. Both efforts were blocked. We saw one exciting run from Eden Hazard as Zinchenko is caught out centre field. Barkley and Pedro were onto him, but the ball ran for Laporte to sweep away downfield, and it's out of play for a throw.
You've got De Bruyne and Gundogan in like a little triangle just off Aguero. Aguero's doing what he does. Gundogan and De Bruyne are very close to him for those little 1-2s, those little triangles, those little keep the ball, you make the movement, we'll find you.
I have a feeling that if Manchester City had been able to get an early goal at Stamford Bridge in December, it might have been a completely different story, because they were superb in the first half.
Yeah, agreed.
Here's Luiz playing it right through the middle, low for Hazard, turns, sets off on a run now, he's beaten 2 men, he's beaten 3, he's going wide, he shoots low, but on the stretch it was, and Ederson was able to go down easily to his right and grab the ball.
Yeah, I think he kind of ran out of steam there. Hazard, he got the ball in that little, what we call that little void area in between the back four of City and behind the midfield four as well. Just sort of ran out of steam towards the end. It did all the hard work, but he was shattered when it comes to the shot.
Dion Dublin with us on BBC 5 Live and the World Service. Premier League striker, England international, and we're watching John Stones, England international, on the ball for Manchester City, giving the ball to Fernandinho, now towards Aguero towards goalscorer Sterling. In fact, Zinchenko takes it on. Zinchenko now to Aguero, who takes it on and shoots from distance. Oh my goodness, what a goal from Sergio Aguero! What a shot! It dipped and flew past the dive of Kepa into the top corner. That was magnificent from Sergio Aguero. He's made up for the miss, all right. It's Manchester City 2, Chelsea 0. Brilliant, brilliant stuff.
I can't believe he had the audacity to try and stick that ball as far into the top corner as possible. He receives the ball. If you can imagine, if you know the cut of the grass, it goes light, it goes dark. On the edge of the 18, you've got one cut of grass which is light. He's in the second cut of grass. He literally puts it onto his right foot and curls it right into the top corner with pace, dip, swerve, the whole lot. The keeper tried to get his hand on it. No keeper's saving that. I'll go as far as to say 2 keepers aren't saving that. And he's got his goal.
And what I like about that as well, he was, 25 yards out, given the angle, maybe a little bit closer than that, but the way he took the ball off Zinchenko.
Absolutely. And he knew that's his area. John, you said it a minute ago, he'll want to make up for that. He'll want to get on the score sheet, obviously, but he's done it within minutes of missing a glaring chance. Doesn't want to let his team down. Keeper had no chance. What a goal.
But with Zinchenko, who was in possession, in a good position. But it was almost as if Aguero just said, hey, young man.
Yeah, this is my jurisdiction.
This. And Sterling now is upset on the far side, having been challenged. The ball has been given as a free kick to Chelsea. Sterling doesn't like it. Mike Dean just waves and says, come on, Chelsea, let's have you. So it's 2-0 to Manchester City here against Chelsea, and we are still in the first 15 minutes. Back to Twickenham, Sonia McLaughlin.
Whereas England 37, France 8. England with a penalty try. Henry Slade, the centre, took off after an intercept. He looked like he might get there, but the defence came across, so he found Chris Ashton. Chris Ashton was dreaming, I think, of this swallow dive under the post, but he was taken out off the ball by Gael Fickou, who's gone to the bin, and Nigel Owens didn't hesitate to award the penalty try. England stretching their lead here. England 37, France 8.
Thanks, Sonia. Yeah, Johnny May having scored a hat-trick of tries, 37-8. That's some scoreline for England, coming off the back of what happened in Dublin last weekend. You can hear all of the coverage with Sonia and Chris Jones and the team on 5 Live Sports Extra. Choice of listening this afternoon. Premier League here on 5 Live, and the champions are in full flow here on their home turf against the champions of 2017. Throwing to Manchester City.
They look sharp, City. They look very, very sharp. Laporte and Stones, just the ones that are just staying. The two fullbacks are absolutely bombing on. It's just incredible the amount of work they're getting through. Zinchenko and Walker getting so far up the pitch. Confidence in their two centre-halves. Fernandinho's just sat in that area that we know he loves to patrol as well, to break things down. Looking very strong.
But my oh my, that goal from Sergio Aguero. What a goal, right foot.
Yeah. It's as good as that was, it's just as poor as his miss was.
Yes, that's true. And that is for Aguero, 21 for City this season, 15 in the Premier League, incidentally. Chelsea, this latest attack breaks down. Alonso overhits the ball through, looking for the run of Hazard. It didn't come, and it's a goal kick, and they are being mocked by the supporters of the current champions.
Jorginho and Kante and Barkley, Pedro in there as well. They've got to get hold of the ball now. Have a feel of the ball. I know it's nearly 20 minutes gone, but they're going to have to get hold of the ball, calm this game down, slow it down a bit, because City want to play the game as fast as they possibly can, and it's leaving Chelsea behind at the moment.
Might be putting down a little bit of a marker as well for the cup final in a fortnight's time. This is the third meeting between these teams this season. They played each other in the Community Shield in August, right at the start of the season. If you remember that one, Aguero scored twice at Wembley. Manchester City won 2-0. Then in the Premier League in December at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea won 2-0. Aguero wasn't playing that day, but he's playing here. And he's right in the thick of the action, and he's on the ball in the centre circle, and as he takes it forward, there's a little touch there. David Luiz pleads the innocent, but a little trip. Brazil on Argentina, and it's a free kick forward and left and right of the centre circle for Manchester City.
I think he's just dropped into the zone, Aguero. Every time he gets the ball, he wants to beat a player 1-2 around him. David Luiz knew that if he let him go by, there was danger. He went by Rudiger, he went by Barkley, and David Luiz just arms up in the air, didn't touch him, referee, that's what he's saying, didn't touch him.
In the two Scottish Cup ties that are currently being played, Hearts winning 3-0 against Auchinleck Talbot, and it is Aberdeen 0, Queen of the South 0 at half-time. Celtic are already through, 5-0 winners against St Johnstone. Earlier, Norwich City 3, Ipswich 0, free kick. De Bruyne plays it in, it's headed back towards the penalty spot, but Higuain was there to hook it away, back out towards the left-hand side. And Tottenham, 3-1 winners against Leicester. City coming forward again, the ball looped into the area, David Luiz heads it away. It's nodded back by Barkley, straight into the path of Aguero, who scores! What an awful error! He was set up by Ross Barkley, who headed the ball back from the edge of the box into his own 6-yard area, right to the feet of Aguero, who just turned and shot it into the net on his left foot, and it's 3-0 and Aguero scored twice.
I can't believe what I've just seen from Ross Barkley. It was a header away out the box from David Luiz. He's on the penalty spot. David Luiz heads it away, doesn't go too far, heads it to the edge of the box, lands in the D, and Ross Barkley tries to head it back to his keeper, Kepa, and who's there? Aguero. He must have seen him. he maybe didn't see him because he's right behind David Luiz, drops to his feet, half volley on the swivel. Thank you very much. That's yeah, you can't do that. You can't gamble and hope that someone like Aguero's not there. Ross Barkley had to clear that one. Get your team up the pitch. Wow, this mountain's too high. This mountain is too high to climb. It's got to be.
3-0, less than 20 minutes played here. 1 for Sterling, 2 for Aguero. And when you're playing Manchester City in this sort of mood, to present them with chances like that, as Ross Barkley just did, well, that's only going to have one outcome, and it's not going to be good for Chelsea.
It's as though, I don't know how I can explain this, but it's like City have come out and said, right, we are the champions, this is our place, this is our home, you are not coming to take any points from us. They've come out with a ruthless streak in their play.
Chelsea having to come from 3-0 down here. The only positive is there's still lots of time left for them to do that. However, the way things have started, I suspect that's not such good news for Chelsea.
The positive for Chelsea is they've got Hazard, they've got Higuain, they've got Kante, they've got Pedro. That's the positive. They have very, very good players.
Stones heading the ball away. Oh, it struck an arm of Fernandinho. Hazard takes it on into the penalty area. Hazard, that's very tight in there, turns it back to Barkley. Barkley rides a challenge, curling shot, wide of the top corner.
I'm not sure if that was a bit of a handball there from Fernandinho. I'm not sure if it was in the box or just on the edge, but had a really good claim, Chelsea, of getting a free kick or even a penalty right on the edge of the box.
So Manchester City 3, Chelsea 0. This is BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC World Service live here. And what are you spotting here?
Just watching the replay there of the very first goal, Sterling's first goal. David Luiz left Bernardo Silva. He left him to Hazard and Barkley. They didn't know that he was there, and it was a quick ball from De Bruyne.
So that, poor defending. The third goal, awful error. Second goal, can't do much about that.
There's nothing you can do about the second goal. It was just pure quality from Aguero. An individual piece of skill which is very rarely executed like we've just seen today.
Aguero could have another hat-trick, should have another hat-trick, because there was also the glaring miss in the midst of all that. So it is Manchester City 3, Chelsea 0. And City with Zinchenko playing it back towards Laporte. Those 2 goals, by the way, in the race to be this season's Golden Boot winner in the Premier League. That's 16 now for Sergio Aguero. So he is 1 behind Mohamed Salah and 1 ahead of Aubameyang as we speak here. But 22 in all competitions now for Aguero, and he is right bang in form. He's a little bit like that, isn't he? And when he's in form, he is so dangerous.
Yeah, when he's in a purple patch, you can't gift him goals. You have to make him work for his goals. Today, he's had to work for a goal. The second goal was gifted to him. I've been watching Laporte actually at left side centre half, and as soon as he gets that ball from Ederson, he puts it onto his left foot and he looks for Bernardo Silva wide right with his heels on the line just behind Alonso.
Here's De Bruyne.
Just there.
De Bruyne does well, passes the ball to the right-hand side to Bernardo Silva, and usually for him his touch is a little heavy, so Alonso is able to get in there, and it's played back to David Luiz. Forward towards Higuain, who has a look over his shoulder. Isn't a great deal of support. He tried to play it off to Bruyne, but the ball stays in play. Higuain gets up, walks across to Mike Dean, suggests that he was fouled, but Mike Dean's not interested, not in the slightest.
That gap between Higuain and the midfield players was just a little bit too much there. He had too much time, he had too many players around him to hold it up and wait for his teammates to get out.
City in possession. Gundogan playing it out towards the far side, and then back into the Manchester City penalty area. Yet Tottenham good 3-1 winners against Leicester in our first Premier League commentary match of the day. Eventful game. We'll hear more about that at half time here on 5 Live, but we are just past the midway point of the first half. Feels like we've had almost a game's worth packed into the first quarter. It's been you cannot take your eyes off it. Great stuff.
No, it is good as well. There's so many City players pointing and shouting and trying to organise. See Fernandinho there telling De Bruyne to go forward so that Stones can receive it or himself can receive it. Looking organised today, very organised.
Still England 37, France 8 over on 5 Live Sports Extra with the commentary there. Here's Aguero from very close to where he scored that thrilling second goal. Sterling on the left-hand side finds Aguero inside the box. The challenge comes in, and then the shot is driven in from the edge of the penalty area to make it 4-0. Gundogan, right foot, picked his spot. 4-0, less than 25 minutes on the clock. It's turning into a thrashing of Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Chelsea know exactly what they're doing here. I'm not sure if they know if they should be in the right position, if they should be squeezing, should we drop off. They went into a 4-5-1 there, it didn't work. They've been in a 4-4-2, it hasn't worked. Aguero is the big problem. Aguero's dropping into areas that midfield players should be in. And then when he comes into the box, the midfield players are following him into the box, which leaves Gundogan free, right on the edge of the box, just to curl it in the corner. His movement's causing havoc, Aguero.
Kepa down to his left, got a hand to it. It was a dipping, curling shot.
It was outside the box, it's 20 yards out, there's no pace on it. Good direction, I'd expect the keeper to get a bit more of a hand on it. But the mood that City are in at the moment, the front five, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Silva, Sterling and Aguero are all adjusting their positions, and they're really forcing Chelsea to think, who am I marking? Who's going left? Who's going right? The back four is incredibly narrow of Chelsea.
And this improves Manchester City's goal difference currently to plus 52. Liverpool's goal difference plus 44. Manchester City, who will have played one game more, remember, than Liverpool after the match against Everton was brought forward. Plus 52 with power to add. Back to Twickenham in a moment, but here's Hazard now. Hazard went past Gundogan, seemed to throw himself to the ground. No free kick. Mike Dean's ignored that, but Chelsea are still in possession. Pedro with a cross. That's headed away by Laporte. Back out towards the far side. Chelsea, Hazard is still down there. Seemed to go down some little, like a split second beyond the contact, if there was indeed any contact, and he's only now getting back to his feet. Yeah. Barkley in the centre circle, Barkley being put under pressure, curls a pass here towards the left-hand side. Alonso, Hazard suddenly back on the scene here, now being booed because I think the Manchester City supporters, you can hear them, they feel that Hazard dived there on the edge of the City box, and then De Bruyne is a little tugged from Barkley, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. Let's just see if Mike Dean is going to speak to Hazard. No, it just runs away past him into the centre circle. So Manchester City 4, Chelsea 0 here in Manchester. And at Twickenham, Sonia McLaughlin?
It's England 44, France 8, and we're furiously checking the record books. That's try number 6 for England. Owen Farrell kicking into the heart of the French defence. Antoine Dupont, he fumbled under pressure from Johnny May, and then Farrell came through chasing his own kick to score, and he punched the air and smiled in delight and promptly slotted the conversion. This game is done. England will go to Wales in 10 days' time, 2 from 2, as the two sides, Wales and France, who are both unbeaten, meet in Cardiff. It's England 44, France 8.
You can listen, 5 Live Sports Extra, to the commentary. Here, Chelsea had a chance. Pedro through the middle, set up by a flick from Higuain, but goalkeeper Ederson was able to come out and make the block. So still 4-0 it is. So the question is, what's the bigger thrashing? 4-0 here, with less than half an hour played, or England 44, France 8? Is that the equivalent, roughly the equivalent? But 4-0, Dion. And this, remember, this is coming off the back of Chelsea losing 4-0 at Bournemouth in their last away match.
Yeah, that is very true. It's really hard to say that Chelsea are completely out of this one because they've got so many good players.
Here's Hazard finding Pedro, left foot shot from the angle, but it was straight at Ederson, who was able to scoop it up into his chest.
Yeah, they just look, I don't know, Chelsea look slightly in disarray. They're not quite sure which formation to play. City and their manager, Pep Guardiola, is shouting, he's screaming, he's making sure players are in the right positions when they have the ball. When they don't have the ball, he's shouting and screaming to make sure that they squeeze, just making it very uncomfortable for Chelsea.
As De Bruyne flicks it beyond David Luiz, but Rudiger's able to come across near the halfway line and then pass it all the way back to Kepa, who's already been beaten 4 times here. Well, I have seen Manchester City win 9-0 here this season.
Yes, I was with you.
You were. I mean, 4-0 up with less than half an hour to play. I mean, this is... And also, Chelsea have lost every away match they've played in 2019. They've not scored a goal away from home. And for Maurizio Sarri down there on the touchline, I mean, this is a horror show. And we're saying the Manchester City fans haven't seen this for a while.
No.
A little bit of Poznan going on, which is a blast from the past.
Oh, yes.
Standing up, backs to the action, bobbing up and down with their arms around one another. And Chelsea coming forward. They've had 2 chances, though, in the last couple of minutes, both for Pedro. Here's Alonso. Alonso's cross, and then Higuain went for the volley, took a deflection off Laporte, which took it wide and behind for the first corner of the match.
Yeah, it's a great cross, actually, from Alonso. Straight down the line on the penalty spot. Higuain gets there first. But there's a good 5 or 6 City players there to make sure that nothing troubles the keeper. Ederson, nothing to do yet again.
Still at lunch in St Lucia, West Indies 2-0 after England were all out for 2-7-7. Here's the corner from Hazard in towards the near post. It's headed away, comes out here to Pedro. Pedro plays it square to Kante, and then back into the centre circle to Azpilicueta. And Azpilicueta stretches forward and plays it towards Barkley. Barkley to Pedro, then Barkley again. This is nice from Chelsea. Higuain, edge of the area, shoots. Blocked by Zinchenko, who went down onto one knee and blocked it only a couple of yards away from the Higuain shot. That defeat at Bournemouth, last time they were away, was Chelsea's heaviest league defeat since 1996. Where this is shaping up, it could be worse. Although Chelsea are having a good spell here. Here's Hazard in from the left-hand side. Hazard pulls it back onto his left foot, and then a little ball to Barkley, who's there. He owes his team after his error for the second Aguero goal. Now Jorginho, who's been anonymous really in the game. Jorginho. Now the ball out towards the right-hand side. And it comes back infield towards Jorginho. Forward of the centre circle. He has Aguero snapping away at him. Still going. A little shove as well. And that is given as a free kick for Aguero's overzealous challenge.
I don't mind that at all. That's Jorginho being told you're not going to have all that time to play the ball where you want to play it. Aguero's there again, making sure that he rushes his ball. And he gives it away just through that little bit of pressure.
Raheem Sterling, who started the ball rolling with the opening goal. He scored in the 4th minute. Aguero made it 2-0 in the 13th. Aguero made it 3-0 in the 19th. And then Gundogan in the 25th. That was 4-0. We're now in the 32nd minute. 5 Live in the World Service. Aguero's actually presented the ball to Jorginho, middle of the City half. Jorginho plays it to Hazard here on the left-hand side. Hazard is looking for a little scoop pass forward towards Barkley, who takes it back out wide here to the Chelsea left. But he's dispossessed so easily by Fernandinho Barkley. And now Bernardo Silva finds Sterling, and Chelsea have to backpedal here because Manchester City in the sky blue are pouring forward. Sterling gives it to Aguero. Aguero, muddied white shorts, turns back in field and gives it to Fernandinho, actually under pressure from Higuain, plays it back into his own half. Dion Dublin.
That is great work. Fernandinho there, working right back into his own right back. Dispossesses, I think it was Barkley, comes away, plays, gets into Aguero. De Bruyne gets it as well. And then he just stops on the halfway line as if to say, listen, I don't need to go any further forward. That's what I do. I break up play, I do the ugly work, and I'll leave you guys to do the rest. He stopped on the halfway line, he went back into his position. They look rigid again and strong.
Dion, what's the right approach now? You know, we're in almost mid-February. Manchester City are attacking on all fronts here, trying to win everything that's on the go. They're 4-0 up here against Chelsea. They've got games against Newport next weekend. They've got the Champions League ties against Schalke. They've got the Cup final in a fortnight's time. What do you do? Do you ease off in this game?
No. In my opinion, you don't, and I don't think Pep has that in his locker either. I don't think he very rarely drops it down a gear, so to speak. He just always wants to go for the throat. He never likes his players to become complacent. Win the game in the right way. If it's 4, 5, 6 or even 9 we've seen recently, go and do it, but do it in the right way.
Here's Azpilicueta joining the Chelsea attack. Chelsea have got a foothold in the game in terms of an attacking sense. Jorginho now playing it to Pedro, right side of the penalty area. Azpilicueta was his ball right across the penalty area. Bernardo Silva was able to scamper back, turn it away left-footed. Jorginho back into Pedro. Pedro on his left foot, out into the D, and he runs into the path of Bernardo Silva, who sweeps it away downfield.
I think the way for Chelsea to score goals is going to be quick football. It's going to be not allowing City to become settled into a really tight back four with 4 players in front, and five players in front actually, with Aguero up top on his own. Yeah, they're going to have to do it quicker, because when City gets set, they are so organised, and every single player knows their job.
I think we saw a dominant 20 minutes from them, didn't we? In which time they scored all of those goals. Was that 4 goals in 21 minutes they scored? They've just come off it, haven't they?
Well, they have, but I think Chelsea are, as much as they have conceded 4 goals, they are a very good side. So you do have to give them that element of respect as well, because they will score goals. They can score goals.
Here's Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. It is 4-0 to Manchester City, and we've played almost 35 minutes. It's been devastating from the champions. Bernardo Silva to Gundogan. Gundogan now to Zinchenko. Here's Sterling hugging the touchline on the left-hand side. Sterling takes on and beats Azpilicueta. Sterling into the penalty area. Rudiger stands up, though. The ball eventually rolls over the dead ball line. Mike Dean, who was right there, says the final touch was Sterling's, and it's a goal kick to Chelsea.
Yeah, it was. He went by Azpilicueta. He actually went by Rudiger, dropped his left shoulder, went on his right, got himself into the box from the left-hand side, but Rudiger then, just in time, got his body in front of the ball, and Sterling ran it out. But there's so much energy within the City side. Chelsea thinking on their feet as we speak. What do we do? How do we go about it? Sarri's now just come out to the technical area. His arms are folded. He's thinking, how do I approach winning this game, or getting back into it first and foremost?
Dion Dublin with us on 5 Live in the World Service. 4-0 to Manchester City. England 44, France 8 after 62 minutes, and they're still at lunch in St. Lucia. I think there was a period in this game when Chelsea were at lunch. Here's Sterling on the far side. Sterling, and then a stretch from Laporte, but it was a successful one. Now De Bruyne back towards Fernandinho. Fernandinho finds Ross Barkley closing him down. But I mean, I know what we're going to be talking about in a fortnight's time when we're at Wembley. 5 Live, the place to listen to the Carabao Cup final when these two sides meet. First time Chelsea and Manchester City will have played each other in a major English domestic cup final, either the FA Cup or the League Cup final. And Manchester City will have, as they say, the psychological edge. Aberdeen have scored against Queen of the South in the Scottish Cup. That's the opening goal. Aberdeen 1, Queen of the South 0, Niall McGinn. Hearts still 3-0 up on Auchinleck Talbot. They're both 3 o'clock kickoffs. 6:06 today with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. Once we've wrapped things up here in Manchester, we'll be handing over to them. I'll let you know when the lines are open. We'll have all of the post-match interviews on the 5 Live Football Daily podcast in the morning, as well as the analysis from Matt Etherington and from Clinton Morrison on the football podcast in the morning. And you can watch all of these Premier League matches on Match of the Day 2 tonight, and you will want to see Sergio Aguero's goal. Absolutely spectacular. You'll want to see his miss as well.
Yeah, yes. Look out for the goal, because the miss is horrendous. The goals, it's out the top drawer, really is. I'm watching Pep Guardiola. He's clapping. Kyle Walker just passed the ball out of play, unintentionally, obviously, and Pep Guardiola's clapping as if to say, listen, you're doing the right thing, don't worry.
Yep. David Luiz swinging the ball out towards Pedro, but Zinchenko wins that against little Pedro on the far side. Comes back to Pedro. Chelsea in their first choice kit here, so we do have blue against blue, the royal blue of Chelsea, shirts and shorts with the thin red and white lines, the piping on them, white socks. Here's David Luiz, shaggy hair, long ball forward towards Pedro on the edge of the area, heads it back to Higuain, sets it up and shoots, and Ederson spectacularly to his left leaps and pushes it one-handed over the crossbar.
That's the way to take your chances. I knew exactly what he was going to do. The ball got pumped up to Pedro. Pedro nods it back. He's 22, 23 yards out. Higuain, it's fell lovely for him. For what we call a nice little volley there. Ederson tips over. It's an easy one for the keeper. It's a great strike by Higuain. Need to do more of that. Need to do more of it.
It's the sort of what a top-class goalkeeper would love to make that save. Here's the corner, in from the right-hand side, looking for Barkley. It's headed up in the air, then headed further away, and Aguero volleys it away towards the centre circle. Queen of the South have equalised against Aberdeen. It's 1-1, Stephen Dobbie. And the ball is played back for Chelsea under pressure from Aguero, doing all that hard work and forcing Azpilicueta to play it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, just doing a job for the team. You know, he's been there up on his own when they've had the ball. When they haven't got the ball, he's been there up on his own, sensed a bit of danger, went to help his team out, forced Chelsea all the way back to Kepa.
Still England 44, France 8 at Twickenham. Oh, that's given away by De Bruyne. He's given it to Pedro, forward of the centre circle. Pedro looks to his right. Kante is there. Kante allows the ball to run out towards the far side and then plays it back infield towards Pedro. And now square from Jorginho to Barkley. Higuain outside the D. Higuain to Kante on the edge of the box. Now Pedro, and then Hazard tried to get involved on the far side, but the pass was just a little short, gave Zinchenko the chance to come in and stab it out of play on the far side for a throw into Chelsea. It remains Manchester City 4, Chelsea 0. And we still have 5 minutes of the first half to play. The first 25 minutes, some awesome stuff from Manchester City and some awful mistakes by Chelsea, who were asleep for the first goal when Manchester City took a quick free kick. Here's Hazard now. Hazard 25 yards out, giving it to Alonso on the left-hand side. Alonso begins to move infield, the tall left back to Alonso again. He's got Hazard at close quarters. Alonso now back towards Jorginho. Jorginho to Barkley, a flick from him. Alonso still just outside the penalty area, now into the full-back position. Hazard taking on Bernardo Silva, who went to ground, blocked it up in the air, ball in the City box, headed across by Barkley. Higuain tries to nod it off to Pedro, but couldn't find him. City work it away on the edge of their own area, but Sterling is dispossessed. Now Pedro, quick ball to the right-hand side. Kante back onto his left foot, and then actually taking the option of playing it behind Azpilicueta, who had to scamper back and knock the ball square to Alonso. Left-footed ball in from Alonso. That's headed away by Laporte easily. Just took a couple of steps back and then whacked downfield, left-footed by Zinchenko, most un-City-like. However, Aguero chasing for it, battling for it with Rudiger, who eventually actually comes out on top, but he was in a tussle there with Aguero as well.
Yeah, just that little bit of strength and pace from Rudiger got him out of trouble.
Right off his feet, and it's a free kick near the corner flag here on the left-hand side. Manchester City leading Chelsea by 4-0, but a free kick near the corner flag, Dion.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's right in the corner, not too far away from it's about 5 yards away from the corner flag. Hazard's over it. You just don't foul him. Just allow him to have the ball. Don't let him go by you, but just don't foul him. Don't give Chelsea any opportunity to put that ball into a danger area.
Hazard is suggesting that Sterling is not the full 10 yards away. It is only 3 or 4 yards away from the corner flag. Hazard with a free kick in towards the near post, hooked away at the near post by Kyle Walker, and then shoveled further away and out of play just down here for a throw in to Chelsea. Pep Guardiola, he's got that light grey hooded cardigan on again, and he's stepped a couple of yards out of his coaching area. The instructions just keep coming. Chelsea take the throw and win another one. Alonso holding the ball above his head. Looked like a handball by Barkley. It was. It's a free kick to Manchester City. By the way, that goal that Stephen Dobbie scored, talk about informed goal scorers, that's his 38th goal of the season for Queen of the South. Sergio Aguero has nothing on him.
I did give Pep Guardiola dog's abuse for that polo neck that he had on the other day, that multicoloured one.
Yeah.
But if anybody can carry this gear off, I think Pep Guardiola can do it quite comfortably. He's got a nice grey jumper on today, looking pretty cool. His hands have been in his pockets. He's going left and right, 10 strides left, 10 strides right.
It's that hooded cardigan.
It's cool, though. It's cool.
Want that. And Mark Chapman would absolutely love one of those.
Yeah, hold it a minute, hold it. Chappers and Pep Guardiola, I can't believe you put them in the same conversation.
Where do you get things like that? I keep asking this question. If anyone knows, Dion, you should know.
Don't ask Chappers. He has no idea.
Here's Stones, right-footed, and it bounces out of play where Guardiola, how cool was that?
Well,
the ball just bounced up and he just killed it with his left hand. And then actually little shuffle forward and hooks it towards Walker. Well, they've had a good spell, Chelsea. You know, they have. You said it, Dion. When they went 4-0 down, you said they have the players who are capable of scoring goals. Yes. And they've had chances. Actually, De Bruyne has just whacked the ball into the back of Aguero, and Chelsea might be in here again. Kante takes it on. Kante plays it square to Higuain. 25 yards out, he turns, gives it to Hazard, left corner of the penalty area. Hazard, stationary ball at his feet, teases one way and the other against Bernardo Silva, beats him, plays it square. Kante plays it back to the edge of the area. A little flick took it away from him. Alonso's ball in from the left, that's headed away, and then Aguero invited the foul from Jorginho and got it. Said thank you very much. That's the RSVP, and it's a free kick to Manchester City.
Impressive City, you know, when they do make a mistake. I've seen De Bruyne try a cross-field ball from the right-back area as over to Sterling, who's on the left wing. He got it wrong. His reaction was to get back into his position. Aguero, though, getting back to help his team out, get fouled. Kyle Walker giving it away 5 minutes ago, getting back into position. I think they must work on that in training all the time. You lose it, I don't mind if you lose it, but get back into a position I'm asking you to get back into.
Manchester City in a dominant position here on 5 Live in the World Service, leading 4-0, half-time approaching, 2 minutes of added time. It's a foul on De Bruyne and a free kick. So 2 minutes of added time. We're playing in England in a dominant position against France at Twickenham, 44-8. And obviously we'll be back there at half-time. But you can listen to that over on 5 Live Sports Extra, and they're still at lunch in St Lucia. In fact, they've just resumed. West Indies 4 without loss after England were all out for 277 in their first innings. We'll have more from there at half-time as well from Jonathan Agnew. De Bruyne plays the ball in, but the offside flag is up. Diving header from Aguero after his hat-trick, but the flag was up.
I've not seen crossing like that since David Beckham. The way that De Bruyne puts the ball into an area where it's kind of impossible to defend, because you think you've got it, but it ends up being behind you. Aguero is offside on this occasion, but he whips it in with so much pace. But any touch at all towards goal is a goal. So much quality.
4-0. First one came from a quickly taken free kick. De Bruyne to Bernardo Silva, swept it across low, and Raheem Sterling arrived to fire it into the net. The second goal, Sergio Aguero, that was his brilliant right-footed shot from 25 yards from an angle after taking the ball away from Zinchenko. Took charge. Aguero had already committed one of the misses of the season, but he made up for it with that. Third goal, Ross Barkley's poor header back. A really big mistake to head it back to the edge of his 6-yard box, straight to Aguero, who scored. And then the fourth goal driven in from the edge of the area by Gundogan. But Chelsea have had their chances since then. Producer Gary, as Manchester City have a free kick near the halfway line. David Luiz, you can hear the rumble. Manchester City supporters feeling that David Luiz has conceded one too many free kicks without a yellow card.
He's just left one on De Bruyne there, right in front of Pep Guardiola. Rolls off the pitch, gets a high five from his manager.
Gundogan now, he hits a sweet pass down the left-hand side to Zinchenko. Zinchenko pulls it back to Aguero. Left side, left corner of the penalty area. Aguero back to Gundogan. Gundogan's low ball bouncing across towards Bernardo Silva. Flick through the legs of Alonso. Walker with a cross. It hits the falling David Luiz. And suddenly there, Manchester City end the attack with end the half with a scintillating attack, but 4-0 it is at half-time, Dion Dublin.
Yeah, I just think City have just started this game incredibly well. They look like men. Chelsea look like rabbits in headlights at some stage of the game. They scored their 4 goals and they came back into it, Chelsea. I still believe that Chelsea have got a part to play in this game. Whether they can score 4 goals or 5, they've still got a part to play. City still have to do things the right way. They've been outstanding, City.
Yeah, talk about a statement in the last third of the Premier League season. Manchester City looking to win, to go back to the top on goal difference. And what an action-packed half we've had here. Half-time, Manchester City 4, Chelsea 0. And Jonathan Overend is here with us inside the stadium.
With, I reckon, John, an extra 100 or so listeners for the final part of that first half, because those Chelsea fans were heading out. They were heading out, particularly from the top tier of the 3 tiers. 24 minutes, 4-0 down. Well, they're probably listening to Radio 3, I would think, just to soothe the anger a little bit.
I hope they're aged between 15 and 44.
But goodness me, Chelsea at the back. I mean, no wonder they're angry, those travelling Chelsea fans. Last time they were on the road, they lost 4-0 at Bournemouth, and there'll be those here today who were there on the South Coast. They're seeing it again today. Atrocious awareness. First from Alonso for the first goal from the free kick, then from Barkley for the third. Nice finish from Gundogan for the fourth, and one of the goals of the season from Sergio Aguero with the second. Dion, you said at one point during that half, so many players organising, so many arms pointing, and that's just the players before you add in the head coach. The week after the Super Bowl, do you think they have a playbook? Do they have strategies that they are enforcing amongst themselves every minute of every game?
Yeah, I do believe that they've told to do certain things when the ball's in a certain place to get yourself into a certain position. Obviously, our game isn't stop-start, so they can't take on information, but the information they're taking on before the game, they have to digest so much. But the thing about City is when they lose the ball, that's the most impressive thing. When they have it, we know how good they are. We know how good they are going forward. But when they lose the ball, the amount of work they get through is outstanding.
Yeah, and you said that the match will be won in midfield, and it is. And they concertina that area, don't they, City? Because the defenders step up. Aguero comes deep. Bernardo especially comes in from the flank. You know, sometimes they're playing with 8 men in midfield. No wonder they win the midfield battles.
Yeah, and they whenever a City player has the ball, they've got 3, maybe 4 options. Now, this is going back to kids coaching. When you've got the ball, you need to have 2 or 3 options. City have got 3 or 4 options. Every time the person on the ball can look up and think, well, I've got a pass there, I've got a pass there, I've got a pass there. They're never under pressure because they forward plan so far ahead of any other side that they know exactly what they're going to do before the ball gets to them.
Well, Pep Guardiola said before, I think it was before the Arsenal match, wasn't it, this time last week, that he wanted to get back that feeling of winning with style, with goals. Boy, are they doing it, as Manchester City lead Chelsea by 4-0. 2 from Aguero, and remember, he had one of the misses of the season as well. He could have had a hat-trick inside 18 minutes. Extraordinary half of football here at the Etihad, and the second half to come. Right, let's turn to the Scottish Cup 5th round. Roddy Forsyth, do you have a result at Tynecastle?
Yes, we do. Hearts 4, Auchinleck Talbot 0. So Hearts finishing with the same advantage as Manchester City have at half-time against Chelsea. And Talbot can take credit for their performance. They never looked as though they would cuddle up into a ball despite falling behind after 9 minutes when Christophe Berra rose to head home an Ollie Lee free kick. But it was thanks to Dimitri Mitchell, whose 40s forward from left back for Hearts, that the home team began to stretch their advantage. After half an hour, he got well forward, struck a ball, I have to say, almost half-heartedly. It may have taken a deflection or it may have bobbled, but Leishman in the Auchinleck Talbot goal won't want to watch it again. He let it slip through his hands into the net, and at that point, with 2 goals advantage, you really felt Hearts only had to just take it easy, put their foot down when necessary, and that's just what they did. Stephen McLean making it 3-0 before half-time. Again, Mitchell, the architect, this time from the right. And finally, with 4 minutes left to play, Aidan Keena, the Irishman, getting his first goal for Hearts, and once more Mitchell was the supplier. Stephen Wilson almost had the 1,600 Talbot fans cheering and howling when he got the ball in the net 2 minutes from time, but alas, the offside flag went up, and it was hard not to feel very sorry for the large contingent who've come from East Ayrshire. That represents half of the population of Greater Auchinleck. Hearts 4, Auchinleck Talbot 0.
Celtic 5, St Johnstone 0 from earlier. Aberdeen 1, Queen of the South 1 is a later score. We'll head to Twickenham in a few moments' time, and St Lucia as well, with West Indies responding to England's 2-7-7 in the Test match. After the latest news with Mitch Mansfield.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The government says it's considering new laws to stop under-18s using dating apps. It's after a report by the Sunday Times found that police have investigated more than 30 incidents of child rape linked to them since 2015. Grindr and Tinder say they have measures in place to stop minors using their platforms. MPs will get another chance to vote on Brexit later this month, even if Theresa May's unable to agree a deal by then. The Prime Minister wants the Commons to give her more time to get changes to the agreement. Here's our political correspondent, Tom Barton.
The Prime Minister is promising that if she hasn't reached a deal by the 27th of February, she will come back to Parliament
apply to England's 277 at the Test match. Let's get some reaction to Wembley, from Wembley. Tottenham beating Leicester 3-1 in the Premier League earlier today. Davinson Sanchez opened the scoring with a header. Then in the second, plenty of drama. Jamie Vardy off the bench to take a penalty, which would have equalised for Leicester. It would have been his first touch, but Lloris saved it. Eriksen went up the other end, put Tottenham 2-0 up. Vardy did then get on the score sheet before Son put it beyond doubt. 3-1. Here's Mauricio Pochettino.
That maybe wasn't our best game, but we showed great character, fight with all the circumstances again that we are playing. I think only we can prize. Of course, that we can go further and maybe trying to think that we can play better. Yes, that we can do better. Yes, we need to improve, of course. But with all the circumstances, I think only we can feel proud and prize our players because they were fantastic.
What were you thinking when Jamie Vardy comes on the pitch? He's got a good record of scoring against Tottenham, hasn't
he? Yes, of course. I was so disappointed because I think when you compare the two actions, Son on the first half, I was booked for simulation, and then the action in between Vertonghen and Maddison, I think was unbelievable.
Match of the day 2 is BBC 2 at 10 o'clock tonight at 10:30 in Northern Ireland. Ahead of that, your chance to have your say. There was an East Anglian dust-up on the pitch earlier. There will be one in the studio as well, I would imagine, between Alistair and Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
It was a feisty derby. I bet you enjoyed that.
There won't be a dust-up. I mean, Norwich are so far ahead. Ipswich are down. Norwich are up. That's it. We're not going to see each other for years.
No, I've demanded that Chris sit in a studio in Glasgow this evening because I just cannot bear the smugness of it. I knew it was going to happen. I had a feeling it was coming. So
you knew it was going to happen.
I know.
There you go.
We're in separate studios this evening, Jonathan.
All right, and City rampant.
Oh, City have been absolutely brilliant. Be interesting to hear from Chelsea callers. What is going on with Maurizio Sarri? A sorry ball, isn't it, in this first half? They need to recover, but some of his statements can't motivate the players. Will Hazard be there at the end of the season? I mean, if you're Hazard, you want to challenge for trophies, don't you? I think he will be off.
Usual numbers to call us, Jonathan, 08085 909 693. On the text, it's 85058. I want our listeners to message us with the best descriptive, imaginative words for a thrashing. So things like, there's the obvious thumping and walloping.
Spanking.
That sort of thing, Chris. But let's not go too close to the edge. I think we're second half getting underway, Jonathan.
It is indeed. And in fact, Carl Walker almost missed the start of the second half. It was late and delayed for some reason. We're a little late. Handing back to John Murray.
Thank you, Jonathan. So the second half underway here at the Etihad Stadium. People still in their hundreds, possibly thousands, coming back to their seats after taking in what happened in what was such an eventful first half. We had the 4 Manchester City goals, but then Chelsea actually had quite a lot of the game in the final 10-15 minutes of the half and created chances of their own. But 4-0 it is, and Dion Dublin is watching with us here from our commentary position, low down on the dressing room side of the ground, left of the halfway line, and we're watching Chelsea playing the ball out from the back. No substitutions at half-time. So Manchester City, their team lineup: Ederson, Walker, Stones, Laporte and Zinchenko, Fernandinho, De Bruyne and Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling and 2-goal Sergio Aguero. And Chelsea coming forward with Azpilicueta on the right-hand side. A low ball across the area, but it's cut out by a sliding Fernandinho, diving foot first back into his own half that steered it back to his goalkeeper Ederson. And the Chelsea team: Kepa, Azpilicueta, Rudiger, Luiz and Alonso, Jorginho, Kante and Barkley, Pedro, Hazard and Higuain. Smattering of applause for the Manchester City substitutes who come out to warm up. There's plenty of power there as well, as Azpilicueta is shoved over by Aguero, and it's a free kick. So Dion, what about it in the second half? If you're in Chelsea's position,
pray. That's what you have to do at the moment. City have been so dominant. Just watching Kante, who's coming out for the second half, he seems to be in limbo. Naturally, I think he wants to be right back by the side of Jorginho. but then he's been told to be in and around Higuain.
Oh, Kepa passing the ball just in front of Sergio Aguero back to David Luiz.
Oh, so close.
Who initially had given him a real tester from the far side that the Chelsea goalkeeper was able to control. Certainly don't want to be giving Manchester City any more goals. Chelsea, though, coming through the middle. This is promising. Kante, flick from Higuain, looking for Hazard, but Manchester City in the sky blue shirts were there in numbers and able to smuggle it away. Sky blue shirts, white shorts, dark blue socks, and Chelsea in their first choice kit as well, the royal blue shirts and shorts with the white and red piping and the white socks. And the ball with Chelsea on the far side of the ground. Flicked header on by Hazard, but Laporte will get there first for Manchester City, who are playing from right to left as we look in the first half. And now we see at the other end, classic Ederson there. Higuain was a few yards away from him, but little Cruyff turn, pulled his foot over the ball, dragged it back, and then Kante sticks a leg in on the halfway line, but that just deflects the ball.
Just maybe, any other centre forward in the Premier League might not have gone for that dummy because they know that Ederson has the capabilities of trying it.
Flick from Aguero, that's landed at the feet of De Bruyne, who's challenged by Alonso, and then hesitation from Kante, and Fernandinho was all over it, and if he'd been able to find the pass through, he actually hit David Luiz with it, and then the two Brazilian players collided. Fernandinho's okay. He's important, such an important figure. You know, brilliant players all over the field, all over the squad for Manchester City, but Fernandinho, such an important figure as they continue to try to chase success on four fronts and do something no club has ever done before. Had the ring of Star Trek about it, that, didn't it? Aguero's become the sixth player in the Premier League era to be involved in 200 or more goals, and the others are Giggs, Henry, Lampard, Gerrard and Rooney. And I've been inadvertently drawn into giving one of the records that I absolutely hate, which are records that are only since 1992 onwards.
Oh dear.
Which shouldn't be allowed. Here's Kante, De Bruyne, now Sterling, Gundogan, middle of the Chelsea half to Aguero. Aguero slips it into De Bruyne, who tried to turn it back across the penalty area to Aguero, but David Luiz deflected it behind. Manchester City corner. It's actually their first corner of the game.
It's just one of those positions where Aguero and De Bruyne, knowing full well what you're trying to do, into De Bruyne tries to give it back to Aguero. Chelsea have become wise to it a little bit too late, but they've come wise to it.
Corner then from the left-hand side. This is down to our left. The three Manchester City substitutes are watching on eagerly here as De Bruyne actually plays it back to Zinchenko, whose ball in is cleared away by Pedro at the near post. Kyle Walker allows it to run and then hits a high ball back towards corner taker De Bruyne on the left-hand side. He beats Barkley so easily and then crosses left-footed. Aguero's header hits the crossbar from 7 yards out. Rattled the frame of the goal. De Bruyne having beaten Barkley brilliantly. Here's Sterling now, right corner of the box into the penalty area. He beats Kante. Sterling still going to the dead ball line, but before he pulled it back, the flag was up. And the World Service are back with us, Dion, where it's Manchester City 4, Chelsea 0.
Well, you're in for a treat. World Service, this game is outstanding. City have been great. Chelsea have had their chances, I've got to say, and on this occasion got away with it again, just through great composed football by City. De Bruyne down the left and Barkley just dangling a foot out, and De Bruyne goes and crosses it. Aguero hits the bar. Could have been a hat trick.
Oh, that could have been a left foot, right foot header hat trick.
Perfect hat trick.
He could have 4 goals in this match. He's got 2. Don't count against him getting another 1 or 2 more though. Here's Hazard. This is better from Chelsea as the cross from the left-hand side is blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Pedro is there to keep possession. Chelsea are going to make their first change. Kovacic, who, as I said before the game, I just expected Kovacic to be in the starting lineup for this game. But instead it was Barkley.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he wasn't. I think maybe the pace and the Barkley does cover a lot of ground, so does Kovacic, but I think he went for the youth.
Here's Barkley. Pedro on the right-hand side for Chelsea. Whips over the cross high, but it's over the top of Higuain. But then Jorginho tries a shot from 25 yards plus, but drives it and slices it well wide. And it is Ross Barkley who is going to make way for Kovacic. And he turns as he sprints off the field and applauds the Chelsea fans. But he's had an unhappy time out there, Ross Barkley, particularly, obviously, the conceding of that Aguero goal when he headed it back straight to Aguero on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, a game to forget for Barkley. It wasn't his best. Gambled with a header back, and he switched off for the first goal as well. So, yes, this will be a video. Oh, gosh, I'm getting old. I said video. I can't believe it. I'm getting old now. Video. Wow. You won't want to see this game back at all, Barkley.
Yeah, no matter how you watch it. Manchester City 4, Chelsea 0. BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. Here's Sterling now setting off on a run from the left-hand side. Rudiger, though, got a touch on it. David Luiz, well, blocked Sterling quite blatantly, really. But the ball had run through to goalkeeper Kepa, who was able to pick it up. Here's Hazard on the left-hand side. I will let you know for 5 Live listeners when the lines are open for Alistair Bruce-Ball and Chris Sutton, or for 606. We will have further reflections, and I'm sure we'll hear from Eddie Jones, the England Rugby Union coach, after their win 44-8 against France in the Six Nations. Crushing win, hat-trick of tries from Johnny May, 6 tries in total for England. And in the Test match, West Indies were 22 without loss last time I looked. 28 without loss after England were all out for 277. And if you want to follow the Test match, by the way, you can follow it via the Cricket Social, our Cricket Social, which is live on the BBC Sport website and app. As Aguero takes the ball up towards the edge of the penalty area and into the box, Rudiger is going to do well to reach it and turn it out for a throw-in. Yep, the Cricket Social. Just go to the live page, the live Test match page, click on Listen Live, and you can also download the TMS podcast at the end of every day's play. Jonathan Agnew and Sir Alistair Cook are there for BBC Radio in St Lucia. Here it's 4-0, and Fernandinho playing the ball back towards Walker. Now to the far side, and Manchester City, Bernardo Silva playing it back towards Stones in the centre circle. Here is Laporte. Manchester City controlling the game here. Possession inside Chelsea territory. Gundogan, one of the goal scorers, to Zinchenko, who came in at left back, only his 4th appearance in the Premier League this season, the young Ukrainian international. Bernardo Silva in this match playing on the right-hand side. Fernandinho chipping it here to Sterling. He's played the whole match on the left. Sterling into the penalty area. Oh, Azpilicueta put the challenge in, and he caught Sterling. Sterling had gone. He brought him down. It's a penalty. Mike Dean theatrically pointed to the penalty spot, and Manchester City now have a chance for a 5th. And I would suspect, yes, Sergio Aguero has a chance for a hat-trick.
It's what Sterling's been waiting for all game, one-on-one with Azpilicueta. Took him on, dropped his right shoulder, went left, and it was just sheer pace and determination. I seen De Bruyne just walk by Sergio Aguero, give him a little nudge in the tummy as if to say, this is yours, mate, this is yours.
Sergio Aguero has a chance for a 2nd successive Sunday here to score a hat-trick against one of the other top 6 clubs. Arsenal last weekend. Aguero, little chat with Kepa, who goes back onto his line. So the stage is set for Sergio Aguero with that blonde hair. Here he comes, right-footed, a little delay, and then he tucks it away. Sent Kepa the wrong way. Hat-trick last Sunday against Arsenal. Hat-trick this Sunday against Chelsea. Great stuff from this superb Argentine striker. And that is 5-0 to the champions against the champions of 2017. What a humbling it is for Maurizio Sarri and his team here in Manchester.
That is as cool as you'll ever see a penalty being taken. He's got his hat-trick and he just waits for Kepa to go down, puts it the opposite way. No stress whatsoever. He's just walking back to the halfway line now like it's an everyday occasion that you get a hat-trick one week and then you get another hat-trick the next week. That is just world class.
That's his 5th goal against Chelsea this season. Remember, he scored 2 against them in the Community Shield right at the start of the campaign. And the stats just keep coming. That is his 15th Manchester City hat-trick in all competitions. That is now 11 Premier League hat-tricks, which is as many as Alan Shearer scored. And that now, in this recent run of form for Sergio Aguero, is 9 goals in his last 6 appearances and 23 in all for City this season, as Sergio Aguero is bundled over by Jorginho just outside the D, and it's a free kick to Manchester City in a very good position.
This is now frustration. The Chelsea players now, they know they've been taken apart today. They've had a fair amount of the ball, but now they're losing their rag. Rudiger's given a free kick away. You can see David Luiz is angry with himself. They've got to stay compact. You cannot allow this to be 6, 7, 8, because it could be, because right now David De Bruyne's over the top of this free kick. It could go to the top corner this quite easily.
Remember Kevin De Bruyne scoring a brilliant goal from this sort of range against Barcelona in the Champions League, almost exactly the same place.
I think David De Bruyne sounds better.
David De Bruyne, yeah.
He's just look at him. Kevin De Bruyne is looking over at the benches, and he's lifted his hand up as if to say, will they jump or will they not jump?
So he's thinking about maybe going low. Let's see. Left to centre, free kick to Manchester City. They're winning 5-0. It's going to be Kevin De Bruyne. He goes over the wall, and goalkeeper Kepa quickly, smartly moves 2 or 3 steps to his right and punches it away. Rather daintily, actually. Didn't have the whip that De Bruyne wanted.
No, didn't quite go into the corner. Sort of went centre of the goal where the keeper was. It was an easy one to catch, I'd have thought, but he got it out of the danger area. David, I keep saying David. Has he got a brother called David?
I don't know, maybe.
Kevin De Bruyne there, just making sure that he hits the target.
Sterling now, Zinchenko on the left-hand side. Zinchenko's cross, Kepa comes, pats it down and catches it at the second attempt. And the lines are open now, by the way, for 606 for the phone-in on 5 Live with Alistair Bruce-Ball and Chris Sutton. So ring and book your call, 08085 909 693. You can text 85058 or on social media, #606 if you want to get involved. And thoroughly entertaining they've been during the course of their first season together on 606. And obviously all of us on 5 Live very much looking forward to the next edition of the Sutton Death Game. Aguero playing the ball through to Sterling. Lovely drop of the shoulder from Sterling. Back to Aguero. He's in again here. Left side of the area. Flashes the shot wide though from the angle. With Azpilicueta going down to one knee. And City, there is no let-up, Dion, from City. They are just going for more goals.
Yeah, very unselfish from Sterling. Sterling's going straight down the heart of the 2 centre-halves of Chelsea. He's got Gundogan on his right shoulder, made up 40 yards. Aguero made up 40 yards to his left. Who does he pass to? Obviously Aguero gets crowded out in the end. But, you know, the only way that Chelsea will get anything from this game, whether it's a goal or chances or whatever, is Hazard. But Hazard's having to come 5 yards from his own penalty box to get the ball. That's how well they are defending City.
And Manchester City win it back from Pedro this time inside the Chelsea half. But Kovacic is going to run it forward after taking it off De Bruyne. However, Fernandinho just glides across and runs the ball away from Kovacic. Just took it off his toe and then took it out to the far side. Bernardo Silva tries to win a throw. It bounces out of play off the Portuguese for a throw-in. And also, Sergio Aguero has now hit the top of the tree in terms of the race to be the leading scorer in the Premier League this season. That means he and Salah both have 17 goals in the Premier League this season. 5-0, half an hour to play, and Manchester City have been parked really in the Chelsea half for most of the first 15 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, they have. It's Chelsea towards the end of the first half did have their fair share, but didn't really create anything from it. City have come out with the same intention of scoring more goals, playing a very professional game of football, which Chelsea at the moment cannot match in any way, shape or form.
Jorginho, by the way, was booked by Mike Dean for a foul. We missed that. Ball played forward by Fernandinho into the penalty area for Sterling. Azpilicueta is able to get a touch to this to hook it out of play for a throw into City down the left-hand side.
You can see Pedro now. Pedro wants to help Azpilicueta double up on Sterling because he's got him on toast at the moment. He's got him for pace. And Azpilicueta needs help because Sterling will keep doing it. He'll keep taking him on.
This run of form away from home, I mean, what is the reason for that? This year, the games that Chelsea have played away from home in 2019, at Tottenham, against Tottenham at Wembley in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, lost 1-0. At Arsenal, lost 2-0. At Bournemouth, lost 4-0. And here, against the champions, losing 5-0, with still most of the last half hour of the the game to play. Their form away from home has dropped off the proverbial cliff.
Yeah, do they switch off? Do they think that when you're at home, you do get the pressure of your home fans, but do they switch off a little bit? Maybe they do.
Here's De Bruyne now receiving the ball, cuts to the edge of the penalty area. His shot, left-footed, blocked by the falling Rudiger. That had danger written all over it as well. Intent from De Bruyne, just collecting the ball 35 yards out and then powering infield onto his left foot, but the shot was blocked.
Yeah, when City have the ball, even if they're at the back, and Laporte's got it and Stones has got it, Aguero seems to stay in an offside position just until he's about to pull his foot back.
Azpilicueta has been able to stab the ball away to Kante. Kante now taking it on towards the edge of the penalty area, but there was only Higuain there as an option, and Manchester City were able to block it away. Kovacic, though, to the left-hand side to Alonso, and now the ball tapped back by Hazard. Jorginho, we're going to see another substitution for each team when the ball's next out of play. Hazard on the left-hand side. Hazard, though, loses out to Bernardo Silva. Alonso's got it back at his feet, though. And now Hazard. Jorginho, 25 yards out, swings a pass to the right-hand side here to Pedro. There's overlap there. Pedro chips it in, headed away by Laporte, and then headed away by Walker on the far side of the penalty area, and then volleyed away downfield by Bernardo Silva, where David Luiz misses his header. They enjoyed that one. And, however, he was able to recover. Sergio Aguero, I thought he was going to be all over David Luiz there, but he had the time there to turn and play it back to Rudiger.
Yeah, I think his afternoon's done. He's got the match ball. He's got the win, as far as I'm concerned. So I think he'll be the one that will be coming off
Aguero,
for the awaiting Jesus.
Here is Higuain. Kante now to the left side of the penalty area. Hazard shoots into the side netting from the angle, and it's a goal kick. And yep, here we will now see Sergio Aguero, who knew what was coming and has, in the modern way, walked right out towards the far side. Double reason here. It'll give his teammates a little bit of a breather, but it also means that Sergio Aguero is able to walk across 3/4 of the width of the pitch and receive this ovation. This brilliant ovation.
I can actually see, I'm bending down to look underneath the stand here. There's even a couple of Chelsea fans, clapping Aguero as well, and rightly so. He's been world class. He missed his chance, and from that moment on, Chelsea have not lived with him.
Still only 30 years old, Sergio Aguero. There's a little wave from him. Pep Guardiola comes across as well after he slaps hands with Gabriel Jesus. There's a word of congratulation from an extremely pleased-looking Pep Guardiola, who, for some reason, puts his hand over his mouth, so we can't read his lips. Such Pep Guardiola.
That's why they do it.
For goodness sake. And then he takes his seat, having scored another hat-trick, his third hat-trick of this season, his 15th hat-trick in his Manchester City career in all competitions. And he's now joint leading scorer in the Premier League with Mo Salah. So 5-0 the score. And Chelsea also make their change. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is onto the field. And who did he replace? It was Pedro. He sort of sneaked onto the field while everyone was looking at the man of the match. Should have scored more. Header that hit the crossbar. Yeah. Glaring miss in the first half. Yeah, could have been 5.
The ball's still his. He's still got his hat-trick. He was still outstanding. Here we go again. This is a crossfield ball to Sterling. 1-on-1 again with Azpilicueta. Doesn't like it, Azpilicueta, at all.
He doesn't, and Sterling manages to move in field and past Azpilicueta. Now Fernandinho tries to play it over the top, but Rudiger stretched, headed away, nodded back in by Zinchenko, headed away by David Luiz. Kante got his head to that, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going to chest it down, but he's lost out to Zinchenko. Zinchenko has worked it back to Sterling on the left-hand side. Sterling, though, plays it back towards Zinchenko. Aberdeen have now opened up a 3-goal lead against Queen of the South. Fernandinho shoots from distance. That was best part of 30 yards, but Kepa was able to go down to his right. Not quite at full stretch, but gather it. Yeah, Aberdeen 4, Queen of the South 1, and that is the full-time score. Aberdeen through, as are Hearts today, who beat Auchinleck Talbot 4-0, and Celtic, who beat St Johnstone 5-0. Earlier, Norwich won 3-0 against Ipswich Town. So Norwich are now 2 points clear at the top of the Championship. And Tottenham won. Really eventful game at White Hart Lane. You can call to talk about any of these matches with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton on 606 on 5 Live. Tottenham 3-1 winners against Leicester. So for, a couple of hours at least, Tottenham moved back to within 2 points of Manchester City. But City are going back to the top here on goal difference, although, of course, they will have played the one game more. And now we'll see Riyad Mahrez join the action for Manchester City. And he will take the place of Kevin De Bruyne.
There's just no let-up at all. De Bruyne off, Mahrez on. Aguero off, Jesus on. It's just quality after quality after quality.
De Bruyne. That's the song that they sang with such gusto last season. And he is slowly but surely returning to top form.
Yeah, to the player that we know that he can be, picking his passes, influencing games from the middle of the park, dropping back to get the ball off the two centre-halves, being what we call the quarterback now. And Mahrez has taken his place on the right wing, as far away as he can possibly be to us, and Sterling's on the left.
And Kevin De Bruyne, this was only his 12th start of the season. He's had the 2 knee injuries, remember, but this was more like the terrific player that De Bruyne was on the way to the title last season. Kante playing the ball in field, but Stones, and now Bernardo Silva, went for a change of feet and was caught by Alonso. It's a free kick to Manchester City, and the yellow card is going to come out.
Now, I know we know Kante's a great player. We know his best position's holding midfield player. He's playing in a position today, especially, where a lot of the game is behind him. He's got his back to play. That's not really his game. He's trying to play balls round the corner. He's trying to flick it round the corner to get a 1-2 with somebody. He needs the game in front of him, Kante. That's how he plays. He's the same as Fernandinho, the same kind of player. Allow him to play in that position and be influential.
Dion Dublin with us on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. So that's a yellow card from Marcos Alonso, who fouled Bernardo Silva. Here's Sterling on the left-hand side. Manchester City 5, Chelsea 0. Chelsea's last 2 away games lost 4-0 at Bournemouth and are losing 5-0 here at Manchester City. You know, the Chelsea supporters who are travelling back south, you would expect, will have plenty to say to Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton on 606 about exactly where the club are heading. And in terms of the Cup final in 2 weeks' time, when we'll be at Wembley, 5 Live, the place to listen to the Carabao Cup final, well, you know, psychological advantage in every way to Manchester City. Here's Walker carrying the ball long and forward, deep into the Chelsea half, and now using Mahrez. First time he's been involved meaningfully in the game, the substitute. Across it comes to Zinchenko. Now here's Sterling on the left-hand side. Sterling's ball towards Gundogan. Back to Sterling near the dead ball line. Up against Azpilicueta. Sterling back onto his right foot. Into Gundogan. Left side of the congested penalty area. Now Zinchenko. And the left back turns, gives it back to Gundogan. Zinchenko puts his foot on it. Little pass to Sterling. Now a little ball infield towards Mahrez. Still on the left-hand side with Gundogan. Mahrez has come right across here towards the corner flag. And Rudiger is very, very tight to Mahrez, who's trying to hold him off down there. Another Chelsea player, Kante, has got involved. And between the two of them, they've come out with the ball and have passed it forward towards Loftus-Cheek. Lovely drop of the shoulder from Loftus-Cheek to take it away from Fernandinho, but then the pass is beyond Hazard and bounces out of play. And you can hear the glee from the Manchester City fans.
Yeah, that's the bit of the game today that City have done so well. They've worked so hard to get the ball back, Chelsea there. Loftus-Cheek, great bit of skill. Now you've got the time to play the pass in front of Hazard with the right amount of pace. Gets it wrong because he's still in the moment. He's still working so hard and working at pace. When you've got the time, that's when you've got to slow it down.
We've still got best part of 20 minutes to play. Sterling now away from Rudiger, down the left flank into the penalty area, checks back, gives it to Gabriel Jesus. Jesus looks across. Mahrez available on the far side of the penalty area. Mahrez curling the ball high and very wide and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, just nudged off balance there by Alonso. He knew exactly what he was going to do, try and curl it in the top corner.
and we will see Emerson coming onto the field. This is the final change for Chelsea, and he will take the place of Marcus Alonso, who's on the yellow card, remember. So Emerson, who had a little bit of a problem, an injury problem, Emerson, but has recovered from it and will come on as the left back. So halfway line, and City go all the way back to the central defenders.
Look how big they make the pitch. I mean, you've got Zinchenko on the halfway line at one side. You've got Mahrez on the other side on the halfway line. You've got Laporte and Stones more or less on the edge of their 18-yard line. And they just keep it. They make it so big. And when you do that, it means that Chelsea have got so much space to cover to get the ball back.
They've scored 119 goals now, City. This is their 41st match in all competitions. Gundogan has given the ball away. Loftus-Cheek into the penalty area, but the challenge is there on the edge of the box. Higuain tried to turn, but caught it with his wrong foot, and so Manchester City are able to steal it away. Sterling plays it off Rudiger, and then Sterling races away from Rudiger, and Sterling plays it through to Gabriel Jesus, who's in here to score, but no, the save from the goalkeeper. Kepa stuck out his left leg. Seems certain that Gabriel Jesus would add his name to the list of scorers, but the Chelsea goalkeeper's leg saved the day this time.
Yeah, you know, David Luiz got away with that one. Just nudged him there, just as he pulls his foot back. If you can see we've got a replay here, we can just see David Luiz pushes Jesus over with his left arm to make it difficult, and the keeper makes the save anyway, but just that effort there from David Luiz was enough.
Final Manchester City substitution, and it is Fernandinho who is being saved for the greater challenges that are to come. Who'd have thought we'd be saying that when we were watching Manchester City play Chelsea, the last two champions of the Premier League, that they have the luxury here of Fernandinho leaving the field, and David Silva trots on, having been given the captain's arm.
That's not fair. That is just not fair. Fernandinho off, David Silva on. Nearly 75 minutes, and you've got to deal with David Silva as well now.
Corner to Manchester City after that save from Jesus. Over on the far side, City take it short. Now on the right hand side, it's driven across to the near post. Rudiger's there, Gabriel Jesus as well. The final touch was off the Manchester City man, and it's behind for a goal kick.
I think that was Gundogan he actually put his laces through that cross. We were just behind it, and it was going straight on Jesus' head. I don't think he fancied headed that ball. It was coming in with such pace.
Dion Dublin with us, 5 Live in the World Service. Manchester City winning 5-0. West Indies still yet to lose their first wicket in their first innings. England were all out for 277. The West Indies currently 41 without loss in St Lucia. You can listen to the Cricket Social to follow the action there, with contributions from Jonathan Agnew and Sir Alistair Cook, who are in St Lucia. England were 44-8 winners against France. We'll hear from Eddie Jones before the end of 5 Live Sport today, I'm sure. Azpilicueta playing the ball back to goalkeeper Kepa, who had Jesus closing him down, but he was able to turn to his right and chip it away. And now Loftus-Cheek is able to carry the ball up towards the edge of the penalty area, and he was caught there quite blatantly and sent tumbling on the edge of the box as the challenge came in on him.
I think it was Gundogan.
From Gundogan, yeah. That will surely be a yellow card for Gundogan.
I mean, he's just about to get into the box, Loftus-Cheek, and Gundogan just ran across his legs, the back of his legs, so they wrapped themselves round him. He'd gone across Gundogan, and he just took his legs from him. Cynical, but we would call that a very good free kick, because he was on a mission.
So it's a free kick for Chelsea. Body language isn't great, is it? But you're 5-0 down against Manchester City.
Yeah, it's at Manchester City as well. It's difficult for them. David Luiz is going to try and get a goal back here, but, you know, too little, too late. Quality hasn't been there. haven't taken their chances. I would love to know, Gary.
Gary's got enough on his plate.
How many touches has Higuain had in the second half? Genuinely, probably 1 or 2. He's hardly touched the ball.
Emerson. It could be Emerson. You'd think it would be David Luiz.
Yes.
This is about 1.5 yards outside the Manchester City penalty area. It's Emerson who goes round the wall, but Ederson is able to go down to his right to gather it in quite comfortably. Ederson saves from Emerson.
Quite a routine save. The thing that Ederson did do in the goal, he didn't try and read it over the wall, he didn't try and read it to the far corner, which keepers do often do. He stood his ground and it went straight into his midriff.
Manchester City winning 5-0 here, and we know certainly that it is the first time that Chelsea will have lost by more than 4 goals since 1992. So we're delving even further back into the record books.
I'm just glad to see that producer Gary's doing some work today.
He's got a list of about 12 questions now. That's 1 out of 12. Here's Bernardo Silva to the right-hand side. Mahrez back in field towards Bernardo Silva. A couple of little touches from him. And now Kyle Walker and Manchester City playing it back towards the halfway line. So they've got Manchester City next Saturday. I'll be with them in Newport when Manchester City go to Rodney Parade. That will be quite an occasion. In the FA Cup, we've got commentaries all over Saturday and Sunday from the FA Cup 5th round. And be interesting to see if the pitch is anything like it was for the replay on Tuesday night when Manchester City go there. So you'll hear that on 5 Live. Oh, Jesus away from Azpilicueta now down the left-hand side. Still Jesus back into the penalty area. Azpilicueta recovers. Jesus chips it back towards David Silva, who picks out Zinchenko, whose ball across is turned in by Sterling. Left foot, roof of the net. It's 6-0 now, and Sterling scores his 2nd goal of the match. Yeah, this scoreline: Manchester City 6, Chelsea 0.
Wow. How to dissect 10 dark blue shirts in their own box by being patient and keeping the ball and waiting for those holes to appear. I think it was David Luiz that played Zinchenko in behind Loftus-Cheek. It was just an amazing piece of football. And I don't know what he's doing to this side, but the way they pass around players, this is Chelsea we're talking about. Chelsea are a very good team. Today, it's looked like Man City are playing against a Chelsea youth team. That's how good City have been today.
The champions of 2018 are winning 6-0 against the champions of 2017. No one can have expected this. Manchester City have recorded some great victories, but what hunger there is today, and what hunger to defend their title, to successfully defend their title. And what this does to the goal difference as well, you can't underestimate that. Chelsea, Manchester City's goal difference is now 10 better than Liverpool's. It's plus 54 to plus 44. And as Pep Guardiola was saying this week, that really is worth an extra point. As Gabriel Jesus to David Silva, and it was Silva who unlocked the pass for Zinchenko on the left-hand side. That is now 120 goals in all competitions, and they're scoring at a rate as well. We're not halfway through February yet, and that's 120 goals. They're on course to break the club record, which is 156 in what was Manuel Pellegrini's first season as manager. And now the Manchester City supporters are goading the Chelsea players and fans, and really celebrating what has been a brilliant victory for them.
Yeah, they've made it look simple. It shouldn't have been this simple whatsoever. The way they've gone about their job in a very professional way. The manager's been pacing the technical box all game. He's now sat down, nowhere to be seen.
We've still got 10 minutes to play. 5 Live on the World Service. Dion Dublin with us. Manchester City leading Chelsea by 6 goals to 0. Chelsea end rapidly emptying their 3 tiers to our right. They scored 4 goals in the first half and 2 more in the second. Aguero perpetrated one of the misses of the season early on in the match. Also had a header strike the crossbar. This has been absolutely humbling for Chelsea.
The thing about with City, they've got so many players that don't mind just doing a job for the team, because Fernandinho's come off now, and you've got Gundogan, who's sat in that position just in front of Laporte and Stones. You've got David Silva not too far off him. I think Zinchenko has been outstanding today down the left-hand side. Made very few mistakes, nullified so many attacks.
Here's Hazard in the centre circle. What must he be thinking? Eden Hazard.
Please don't make it 8.
Hang on, we haven't got to 7 yet.
Well, that could come any moment now.
Here's Hazard playing it square to Kante. Kante now to the right-hand side. This has, I mean, a scoreline like this is embarrassing for players like Kante, twice a Premier League winner, World Cup winner last year. Eden Hazard playing it to the left-hand side now for Emerson. Emerson standing up tall, Manchester City defending. They've not had to do much of that in the second half. Hazard playing it back for David Luiz. David Luiz, little ball to Kante. And it feels like a damage limitation exercise for Chelsea now.
There's not a problem with Chelsea having the ball in the mid third of the pitch, because City are now saying to Chelsea, what have you got? Break us down. We're not going to come out of our shape. What have you got? Good enough passing? Have you got a good enough movement? Are you willing to work hard enough to get yourself a goal? So they're allowing them to have the ball.
Some great statistical work by Gary Flintoff here, by the way. Last time Chelsea lost 6-0 was in 1979 to Nottingham Forest, who were the champions then, of course. Ball played over the top for Chelsea, but will bounce through to goalkeeper Ederson. That was a 6-0 defeat, March 1979, against the then champions Nottingham Forest. Their last 7-0 defeat was 1953, which was also against. It was 1991.
Wow, that just tells you how big this game is today, and how well City have played. You know, I can't reiterate it. Chelsea have been, some great performances this season, but today they've not known what to do and how to deal with the organisation of Manchester City.
The last 7-0 defeat was 1991. That was against Nottingham Forest. So this will be their heaviest defeat since 1991.
Which will hurt. Which will really hurt.
Here's City with the ball on the right-hand side. Walker playing it back to Mahrez, and then Mahrez back towards the halfway line. I think, have they declared now, Manchester City?
Yeah.
Or might we see another one?
I think obviously they'll go for more if they can get more. They'll do it in the right way. There won't be any flicks. There won't be any back heels. There won't be any flash bits of showing off from City, one iota. They're still working hard.
The intensity just seems to have dropped rather, though, and we are into the last 5 minutes now. And now we have the answer to your question. Up to 79 minutes, Higuain had 4 touches in the second half.
There you go. Thank you very much, Producer Gary. Appreciate that. It just goes to show how well City have played, how well Fernandinho played on the toes of the 2 centre-halves. Like I said, Gundogan's gone into that position now, and Higuain, what is he thinking? Is he thinking, I've come to a really poor side? Is he thinking we're playing against the champions? He's had nothing today. For 70 minutes of this game, Higuain has had nothing to prey on whatsoever.
Manchester City 6, Chelsea 0. 4 minutes to go.
6? Did you say 6?
6.
Wow.
Lines are open for 606.
Oh, stop it.
08 085 909 693. Here's Kante now. Kante to the edge of the area. Higuain had 2 or 3 more touches there, Dion. Then gives it to Loftus-Cheek here on the right-hand side. Loftus-Cheek into the full-back position. A back heel from him, but it falls to Manchester City, who are able to pass it away. Zinchenko with a nice touch in there. Confident, so confident, mind you would be winning 6-0 against Chelsea. Here's Kante. Kante now, ball out towards the far side, but Hazard, as he's put under pressure by Walker, can't get the touch he wants, and it bounces out of play. So we'll be taking your calls on 5 Live for the phone in, the 606 phone in. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. Get in touch, hashtag 606, text 85058. And also, you'll want to listen because we'll try and bring you live interviews from here at the Etihad during the course of 606. City coming forward. And then Mahrez is beaten to it by David Luiz. So, yeah, listen out for Pep Guardiola and for Maurizio Sarri. What on earth is he going to say after this game? Sarri, what can you say? I mean, City have played so well.
Yeah, it has been. It's been a masterclass. If ever there was a masterclass in the Premier League, yeah, you can have, with all due respect, you can have these games against Huddersfield and the smaller clubs in stature, but this is Chelsea, and it's 6-0, and they haven't had a look in a couple of half chances earlier on in the first half. But what you say to your players is, get in the shower, get your tracksuits on, let's go, and we'll recharge and regroup on Monday.
We've got to go to Sweden this week in the Europa League. Chelsea, they've got the tie against Malmo. Manchester City have got the Champions League game against Schalke the midweek after next. I watched Schalke last night against Bayern. Bayern won 3-1. And if City don't come through against Schalke, that will be a major surprise. Here, Sterling coming forward. He's on a hat-trick now. Sterling, though, slips it into the box to Zinchenko, and then Rudiger's able to arrive on the scene and just smuggle the ball away from Zinchenko.
I think Zinchenko's he's actually pulled up there, whether he's done his thigh or his hamstring. Just tried to go on the overlap there around Sterling. He's jogging away now, which is good.
That'll be a shame for him. I think he's okay. No, he's not. He's just pulling up again. Well, that's frustrating, isn't it? As I say, only the 4th time he's played in the Premier League this season, and he's played very well today.
Yeah, he's now gone down. He's now in Chelsea's final third, about 20 yards from the edge of their box, on his backside, because he's not in a great way at all. He did try to
Manchester City win the ball back. Gundogan swings it out of play, and Guardiola stretches for it and actually traps the ball, or at least controls it. So Zinchenko will receive his treatment. The stadium is told, and indeed it's flashing all around the hoardings, the name of Sergio Aguero, that he is the man of the match. By the way, all of these Champions League matches that are coming up, Aguero, you're watching, little laughing away there.
Getting patted on the head by his teammates.
Well done, Sergio. All of the Champions League matches we will bring to you. 5 Live, the place to hear the Champions League matches involving the English clubs from inside the stadiums, as it has been during the course of the season. So on Tuesday night, we'll be over at Old Trafford for Manchester United against Paris Saint-Germain. Live from Old Trafford, Mark Chapman, Philip Neville will be with us for that. Wednesday night, live from Wembley, we've got the first leg between Tottenham and Borussia Dortmund. Lee Dixon will be alongside Ian Dennis and Kelly Cates for that one, so that's where you need to be. 5 Live Tuesday and Wednesday night, and we'll be with Manchester City and Liverpool as well for their matches. I thought it was very interesting, by the way. I don't know whether you heard, Edinson Cavani went off injured last night, and the word seems to be that Cavani will be out for the game between Manchester United and Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday night. So no Neymar, and possibly no Cavani.
Oh dear. So sorry to hear that.
Said the former Manchester United striker. 3 minutes of added time. We are into that. 6:06 to follow. We'll hear from Eddie Jones as well after England's 44-8 win against France, I'm sure. West Indies 53 without loss after England were all out for 277. And here, 6-0. Manchester City with the ball inside their own half. This is the 9th time this season, the 9th time that City have scored more than 5 goals in a match. So 9 once, 7 once, 6 4 times, 5 3 times.
Just ridiculous stats. Not surprising stats, because they've got the quality to do it, obviously, but to consistently do it and do it regularly is, in this league as well, the Premier League, against a team like Chelsea, which I keep reiterating, it's just a very, very high standard of football.
If you're a Chelsea supporter and you've already left the Etihad Stadium, if you're on your way home, give Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton a ring on 08085 909 693, or indeed a Manchester City supporter and you want to wax lyrical about the way that Pep Guardiola's team has played here today, and play so well they have. And now here is Mahrez to the edge of the area to Jesus. who is challenged and the ball bounces away. Yeah, he'll be so happy, I'm sure, Pep Guardiola, as he likes to say, when we have his interview on 5 Live Sport during the course of 606 a little bit later on. So happy, like you wouldn't believe. Here's Zinchenko to Gundogan, now back to Laporte, and then a little touch over there from David Silva. Silva again, and Manchester City just seeing it out now on the way to what is a crushing victory. Ali Bruce Ball said he wants words to describe the scale of this victory during 606. Hashtag 606 for that. Laporte to Zinchenko, and then Bernardo Silva against Kante. Kante comes out with the ball. Jorginho, Higuain, now towards Hazard. Hazard looking for Emerson, but it's all rather one-paced now, this. And there is the final whistle on what has been a crushing victory. Manchester City, the reigning champions, the defending champions, beating Chelsea, the champions of 2017, 6-0. What a humbling, what a victory, what a statement for Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City team, who go back to the top of the table above Liverpool on goal difference, and boy, how they've improved their goal difference here today. That is 3 very good wins for Manchester City in the space of 8 days, and what a marker this puts down ahead of the Carabao Cup final, when these teams will meet again at Wembley in a fortnight's time. 6-0. 6-0.
Yeah, for me, that's men against boys today. There was a very small period where Chelsea could have got themselves into this game, but City were professional, they were patient, they were organised. Out of possession, they worked so hard. In possession, they were so potent. Sergio Aguero, you cannot give him chances. City are going for the throat. That's what I think.
Yeah, talk about a statement of intent. This is written in large capital letters all over the Etihad Stadium. The final score here, Manchester